I'm going to hand it over to Bobby. There you go, Bobby.
Okay, here we are. It's our last story from
Bobby, you're muted.
okay, now can you hear me? Yeah, I had to go up to the top. Yeah, thanks for giving me the thumbs up. Okay, last story in this book, and it's how to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a friend. Okay, and it shows a picture of a bowling alley. That's the first picture. Jake had a good life. He had graduated from high school and now he worked at a gym near his house. He really liked his job, but Jake had one problem. There was something Jake still wanted. He really wanted a girlfriend, but he didn't know how to find one. How do you find a girlfriend? Jake thought about it, and then he had some ideas. Jake joined a bowling group. He had always liked bowling ever since he was little. When he was little, his favorite thing was getting a strike and seeing the green light come on and flash strike 3 times. Now Jake hoped he might find a girlfriend in the bowling group. Every week he had a great time getting strikes and hanging out with his new friends. But none of the girls in the group were his age. So he didn't find a girlfriend at bowling. So he decided to keep bowling anyway, since he was having so much fun. But how was Jake going to find a girlfriend? Jake had a support person named Tim who took him places like shopping, doctor's appointments, and the movies. Jake knew how to take the bus, but he couldn't drive. But Tim could drive. One day, Tim invited Jake to go to a swing dancing class. It sounded fun. Jake looked up the swing dance class on the internet. It was at the YWCA. You had to pay $5 for the class. And there's Jake, and he is dancing with a partner. Okay. Jake and Tim went to the swing dance. They went together, and the teacher taught everyone how to dance. When the music played, each boy danced with the girl who was near him. When the music stopped, everyone moved and got a new dance partner. Jake met lots of girls, and he liked them, but he didn't find a girlfriend. Jake thought of another idea. Jake liked to help out in his community. He volunteered at the library, where he helped put away DVDs that had been returned. He also helped out at a small store near his house that sold things from all over the world. Everyone at the store was a volunteer. One volunteer told Jake about a community cleanup day at the local university. Jake decided he'd go to cleanup day. He could help his community and maybe find a girlfriend at the same time. At the cleanup day, each volunteer got a huge plastic bag and plastic gloves. Everyone walked around and put trash in the plastic bags. When the plastic bags were full, you brought it to a big trash can and you got a drink. Jake filled up his plastic bag and went to get a drink. A girl was giving everyone the drinks. She smiled when she looked at Jake. And then she asked, "Do you want a drink?" "Sure," Jake said, and she gave him a drink. It was lemonade. He finished it and asked, "Could I have another lemonade, please?" And there's Jake, and there's the young lady handing him the lemonade. "Of course," she said. "What's your name?" Jake asked. "I'm Maya," she said. "I'm Jake," he told her. And then Jake got another empty plastic bag and went to pick up more trash. When he brought back the bag full of trash, Maya was still at the drink table. Jake said, "Hi, Maya. Could I have another drink, please?" She said, "Sure." Jake and Maya started to talk. First, they talked about the weather, and then they talked about how nice the university looked without trash on the ground. Jake asked, "What do you like to do, Maya?" Maya said, "Well, I like to go to the movies. What do you like to do?" "I like to go to the movies too. I also like to go bowling," said Jake. "What kind of movies do you like?" Maya asked. "I like comedies," said Jake. Maya smiled and said, "I like comedies too." Jake thought Maya was pretty. He liked talking to her. So Jake had another idea. "Would you like to go to the movie with me?" Jake asked. "Sure," Maya said, and then she smiled again. Jake said, "I'll look on the internet and find a good movie. Do you have an email address, or should I call you on the phone?" Maya said, "You can call me." Maya wrote her phone number on a piece of paper and gave it to Jake. The next day, Jake found a good movie on the internet that was playing in a nearby theater. He called Maya. Hi, said the woman's voice on the phone. Hi, may I talk to Maya, please? Jake asked. This is Maya. Hi, is this Jake? Maya asked. Yes, it is. I found a funny movie I think we will both like. Would you like to go see it with me tonight? Okay, Maya said. That sounds like fun. At the movie, Maya had popcorn and Jake had candy. When Maya finished her popcorn, she wiped the butter off her hands. And then she reached over and she held Jake's hand. Jake felt very happy. Jake and Maya lived close to each other. One night, Jake walked to Maya's house and they had dinner together. A few nights later, Jake and Maya went to another movie again. Another day, they met at the park and went for a walk. While they were walking, Jake asked Maya if she would like to try bowling. Maya said, sure. Maya tried bowling. She was not very good. She got a lot of gutter balls. Jake felt bad for Maya. Oh, I'm sorry this isn't very fun for you, he said. Hey, it is fun. I'm not very good at bowling, but I'm still having fun. I have fun just being with you, Maya said to Jake. Then Jake had a very good idea. He sat down next to Maya and looked in her eyes. Would you be my girlfriend? Jake asked. And let's see, when we turn the page, it's not the end of the story. Yes. Yes, Maya said. They grinned at each other. And then Maya stood up and threw another gutter ball. She giggled and Jake laughed back. They held hands all the way home from the bowling alley. So this is how it feels to have a girlfriend, Jake said. How does it feel? Maya asked. Awesome, said Jake. And there's a picture of them. Okay. And they're holding hands. Well, I'll tell you what, Jake persisted and he found a new friend. I'd say hooray for him. Well, now we're going to read Annie's recommendation. It's called Born Hungry, and it's about the famous cook Julie Childs. So thank you, Annie. The illustrations are wonderful. And here's the first one. There's a typewriter and a desk. In the page it says, no one is born a great cook. One learns by doing. Julia McWilliams wore size 12 sneakers, stood 6 feet 2 inches tall, played basketball, laughed loudly, and was curious about everything. All this made her so hungry. She craved food, lots of food. And there's a picture of her. Okay. She is one tall young lady. And there's some of her good food that she's eating. But Julia's parents had a cook, and Julia only knew how to boil water and make toast. I was never encouraged to cook and just didn't see the point of it, she said. I was born hungry, but I wasn't born a cook. And there's Julia, and she's looking in at her family's cook, who really isn't interested in teaching her how to do her own cooking. Julia always dreamed of having adventures and becoming a famous writer. When America joined World War II, she volunteered for the U.S. spy agency, the Office of Strategic Services, OSS. The OSS sent her to Ceylon, now an island country near India, where she worked as a clerk typist, helping spies, soldiers, and generals with their top secret reports. And there she is. Doesn't look very happy. It says that Julia was a bit lonely. One day in 1944, Paul Child moved into the office next to Julia's. She could see him through a little window. A painter and a photographer, he was 10 years older than she was, several inches shorter and much quieter. And there he is. And there's Julia. She's seeing him and meeting him for the first time. Paul had lived in Paris and knew all about food and wine. In the OSS, he designed maps and charts in a secret war room for the generals. Julia did not like his mustache, and Paul thought she was too loud, but they both liked food and books and travel. Soon she encouraged him to take an elephant ride in the jungle, and he encouraged her to try foods from all around the world. And there they are. They're on top of an elephant. And there they are at a restaurant. Okay, trying new foods and talking about their travels. Julia still did not know how to cook, but in the OSS, she created her first recipe, a shark repellent. Sharks would try to bite US sailors or would accidentally blow up US sea mines. Julia used copper acetate mixed with black dye to create small round cakes that smelled like dead sharks. When it was submerged, the cake disintegrated and the repellent spread through the shark, scaring the hungry sharks away. And there's the sharks, and there's the underwater detonator. That's to get rid of the enemy submarines. And there's Julie Charles, and that's her first recipe. It's a shark cake. Woo! After the war ended, Julia and Paul moved back to America and got married. And she said, with a new husband, I decided I'd better learn to cook. Julia Childs signed up for a class on how to make pancakes and hamburgers. But when she cooked her first meal for Paul, Julie tried something more complicated: cow brains simmered in red wine. It sounded exotic and would be a fun way to impress my new husband, she told herself. But she rushed through the recipe and admitted that the dinner was a disaster. They ate cheese and crackers instead. But Julia learned that she was going to be determined to learn how to cook. There they are at their wedding, and there's the disaster dinner. Okay, simmered cow brains and red wine. I don't know, you guys. In the fall of 1948, Paul and Julia traveled to France, his favorite place on earth. As they drove to Paris, they stopped for lunch in the city of Rouen. Julia couldn't speak French, so Paul fluently ordered a dozen salty oysters, followed by a flatfish cooked in sputtering butter sauce, a crisp green salad, freshly baked bread with perfect butter, white wine, yogurt, and coffee. As the waiter carefully laid their plates on the table, he smiled and said, "Bon appetit." And there's some of the foods that they're eating. Okay, and the oysters and the flatfish and the bread, and there they are, having lunch with the waiter. Saying, "Please enjoy your meal." Julia inhaled the wonderful aroma of fish cooked in butter. And then she took a bite of the sole, experienced a magnificent burst of flavor, and closed her eyes. She had never tasted anything so fresh and delicious. She tried to chew slowly, to savor every morsel, but the lunch was so good she gobbled it down. Yum! It was the most exciting meal of my life. Mopping her plate spotlessly clean with the bread, she sat back and sighed, wondering if she could ever make such a feast. And there she is. There is one happy lady. And there's her plate, you guys. Look, everything is gone except for some lemon slices. In Paris, Paul worked at the US Embassy, while Julia consumed food of every kind: sweet pastries, cold zucchini soup, roasted pheasant, steak, lobster, snails, frog's legs, potatoes and cream sauce, green beans with lemon, wild mushrooms, eggplant and tomato stew, cheeses of every description, light lemon tarts, dense chocolate cakes, and plump strawberries swimming in pools of whipped cream. And this gives you some idea of everything she's eating. Oh my goodness. It's a book that is making me hungry, Miss Annie. See. Every night before bed, Julia read French cookbooks for fun. She fantasized about making a poem of poached and flavored sole fillets, surrounded by oysters and mussels, and napped with a wonderful sauce of wine, cream, and butter. But it still took her hours to make dinner, and her meals were often missing something. So there she is in bed, and she's dreaming of all the wonderful things she's going to make. Whoa. After a year in Paris, 37-year-old Julie decided it was high time she learned how to properly cook a French meal. I had so much more to learn, not only about cooking, but about shopping and eating and all the many new foods, she wailed. I wanted to roll up my sleeves and dive into French cuisine. Julia signed up for classes at the famous Le Cordon Bleu cooking school. the only woman in class of American soldiers studying in France after World War II. They did not want a tall, loud woman in the kitchen, but Julia became the hardest worker and the best student. Every day she woke up eager to get back to the stove. And here she is, going to her school. Remember, she's 37 years old, always time to go to school. And there she is in the kitchen, the very tall one in the middle, and the only lady. The chef taught Julia to cook simple dishes like scrambled eggs and more complicated ones like beef stew. How does it taste, Madame Child? The chef asked, sipping the stew. He added a touch of salt and a little pepper, tasted it again, and when the flavors were just right, he grinned. And he always would say, cooking is joy, cooking is fun. And there they are together. Okay, and there he is, tasting the stew. Julia started to dice, fold, marinate, poach, puree, and saute. She could whip up a bowl of a vichyssoise, a cold leek and potato soup, or roast a delicious dinner fit for a queen, like goose with prune and foie gras stuffing. Her favorite desserts were a caramelized apple tart and a chocolate and almond cake. And there she is, you guys. She is finally learning to do it. And she looks very happy. And there she is. There's her almond chocolate cake. Yum. The chef took Julia shopping in Paris outdoor markets. He pointed out that if she wanted the tastiest cuts of meat, the freshest loaf of bread, or the gooeyest piece of cheese, she would have to take time and care to talk to the butcher, baker, or cheesemaker. Talking to people was one of Julia's favorite things to do, and she was good at it. She could charm a polecat, Paul said. Julia loved the people, the food, the lay of the land, the civilized atmosphere, and the generous pace of life. I have come to the conclusion I really must be French. No one had told me that. And there she is with her chef. And there she is with her husband, Paul. And they have gone shopping. When Julia and two French friends opened the School of the Three Hearty Eaters, Julia taught her students the lessons she had learned from her chef. Good results require that one take time and care. If one doesn't use the freshest ingredients or read the whole recipe before starting, and if one rushes through the cooking, the result will be an inferior taste and texture. But a careful approach will result in a magnificent burst of flavor, a thoroughly satisfying meal, perhaps even a life-changing experience. Such was the case with the first fish I ate on my first day in France. Julia Childs encouraged her students to work hard, to use the best tools, to take risks, and to never apologize for cooking mistakes. And more than anything, to have fun. And there she is with her own television show, which I used to watch too. I want to show you a picture of the real Julia Childs, okay? Holding up, it looks like bread that she's just made, all right? And there's a picture of, what's going to be hard. That's her and her husband when they're in France. Okay, and she has died. It was not that long ago. It was in 2004, and she was almost 92 years old. She died 2 days before her 92nd birthday. She won lots of prizes and awards for all the cookbooks that she wrote and for her TV series. So I am so pleased, Anne, that you recommended this book, and it's going into the library at S&S. So if you guys want to come and take it out, it's going to be available to you. So let's talk about what we just read.